Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is February 22nd. Right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery here, and you can clearly see this Arctic air pouring off the continent here, wrapping back around into places across Washington, Oregon, down through California, spreading all the way down across the Pacific Ocean here off the west coast of North America. And you can see the spin in the atmosphere across western Washington, moving down into Oregon as we speak, getting some decent snowfall amounts across the Puget Sound. I believe the National Weather Service just put out winter weather advisories for some of the Puget Sound. Is a good call there. Probably could have come a little bit earlier there, but kudos that they did do it. I know we're getting some decent precipitation out there in the form of snowfall. Ben Yurkovich out there with about 2 inches of Lake Stevens, maybe more now. He was going to take a reading recently, but I got some other pictures from people around the Puget Sound as well coming in here. We'll take a couple looks at those coming up here, and we could get some nice snowfall across the Willamette Valley, especially on into the day today and tonight across the region. Looks like a nice deformation band may set up across the Willamette Valley here. We'll take a look at that a little bit closer as we go. Now, Spokane got some decent snowfall last night and on through this morning as well. It is snowing at my house now. It's since dropped below freezing. So nice little winter storm here across the area. We'll take a look at things and what's potentially coming up. This is from Aaron Green, and you can see some places around the sound are getting some nice precipitation in the form of snowfall. This is down towards Vancouver, Washington, I believe here, and you can see it's coating the roads out there. It is sticking around the area here, and it's causing de-icing delays at SeaTac Airport as well. Snow easily sticks. It doesn't even have to be below freezing. It'll stick on those plane wings, and you have to get that plane de-icing. Cause some pretty big delays at the airport. So just because it's not sticking on the cement when you're going out to take a flight somewhere, call ahead if you see any kind of snow flying in the air, because planes do have to de-ice. You cannot take off with any kind of contamination on any surfaces of the plane. This was also from Ben this morning as well. You can see this coating the roads out there. People having a hard time, cars getting stuck out there as well. This was Ben's measurement this morning, a solid 2 inches there. He's probably got more by now. This precipitation should be coming to an end during the day today, but still, it's always fun to watch it fall. And we've been watching this probability or this expectations for a little bit of light snowfall, and we talked about this the last few days. It does not take much forcing once you get this Arctic air into the region to cause some light snowfall amounts. And it only takes a half an inch, 2 inches here across western Washington, the Willamette Valley, southwest BC to really cause some disruption. Now, this is looking at the current hazards. Let's see if I update that. It's still not showing up, but I do believe I did see they put out winter weather advisories for across areas of western Washington, and I'm a little surprised there's none for Portland right yet. I think they think it's going to set up a little bit further south across the Willamette Valley here, but we'll take a look at what the models have to say about that here in a moment. Now, here's looking at last night's European run. Put that into motion, and you can see some of this moisture bouncing around and trying to move back up towards the Puget Sound as you go through Thursday morning. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of wraparound snowfall come back up towards Seattle tomorrow morning. But you can see the decent bands potentially setting up across Willamette Valley through tomorrow morning. And if this time's out right, the overnight lows through Thursday morning could bring some decent amounts across the Willamette Valley here. So watch closely here, folks. It's going to be kind of a nowcast situation with this low pressure system bouncing around off the coast there before it finally starts to pull away as we go on into Friday morning. And we're going to get some decent, strong offshore winds here. Some gusts up over 50 miles per hour could happen across the Cascades, maybe through the gorge here too as well, as you start to bring this offshore component across the area. In fact, we're already getting outflow winds across the region here out of the Fraser River Gap as well. And then we've got something even more fun coming up here as we go towards the weekend, as we have this system bearing down on us, and we're going to have some pretty cold air in place, likely to start to snow across much of the Pacific Northwest. Now, taking a look here, this was the European last night. You can kind of see it did show the snowfall up here, probably underdid it a little bit, but look at down across Willamette Valley. It continues to show some decent amounts, including the Portland metro here. So this is definitely worth watching. Do not let your guard down here across southwest Washington, down through the I-5 corridor of Willamette Valley as well. Even out towards the coastal areas, might see some snowflakes flying here as you go on in through the day today and tonight, on in through Thursday here. And you can see the snow kind of translate down to California here and pull away from Washington there. More on that next system here coming in a minute, but this is 100-meter wind speeds. You can see the outflow winds coming here. You see the spin in the atmosphere here across southwest Washington, northwest Oregon as we go on through this morning here, and then you bring this down across the region here. We start this offshore flow here, and the north winds are already going down the Puget Sound. The winds have turned north at my house, and you can see that upper level low just kind of hanging out. There's likely to be some kind of deformation band that hangs out here as we go through tonight on in through Thursday morning, then you can see the winds really pick up here across the Cascades as we go on into Thursday morning. Then you can see them pick up as the slow moves around and down the coastline as we go on in through Friday morning, shown there. Then the next system will arrive. Well, more on that in a moment. Looking at Seattle-Tacoma, on through Saturday night into Sunday morning. Look at that. 2+ inches could be expected as we go. We're going to have some cold air in place. This is a much higher probability event here, or a much more high confidence event, I should say, as we go on in through Sunday morning. This is Portland, and you can see the Europeans showing these deformation bands. Look at this. The control runneth up over 6 inches as you go on in through tomorrow morning. So definitely do not let your guard down there across the Willamette Valley. This is for Eugene, calling for a couple inches there as well as you go on in through tomorrow morning. This is Spokane. Had some nice snowfall last night and this morning as well. Then that next system arrives here as we go throw the weekend. This is Snoqualmie Pass with that arrival of that next system here as we go on in through Saturday night, Sunday morning. You can see probably 6 inches of additional snow coming. Siskiyou's down there. Watch out for that travel across southern Oregon into northern California. Those higher passes will bring some snowfall all the way down to I-5 there, and it will be sticking for sure below freezing. Pretty disruptive travel conditions down there. Now, this is taking a little bit wider look at what's going on now, and you can see this low pressure system develop off of Oregon here, and this is the one that moves down across California. It's going to bring some pretty disruptive weather on in through this weekend. And this upper level low kind of taking its sweet time to move across California there. And then you bring this next system in the Pacific Northwest into some cold air, starting to snow across Pacific Northwest. And then the slow is going to kind of hang out across our coastline there, keeping snow levels kind of low here as we go on in through early next week. Then we're going to continue to be active as we go on into the extended forecast as well. We'll worry about those storm systems as we go day by day. This is last night's European right now. I want to show you what's going on here coming up. So as we go on in through the weekend here Saturday, you see the next system bearing down in the area. And look at that. Starts to snowfall across much of BC, Western Washington, Oregon. Go on into Sunday morning, still snowing here across the region. Could pick up a couple inches across the area, and that would be quite disruptive, especially down to the lower elevations. And then it starts to change over to rain, according to the European here, by the time you go on into later Sunday morning. And then this low pressure system is going to be bouncing around our coastline here, though, and this is going to keep some snow levels fairly low as these bands of snow move across the area. So we got to watch out for this as we go on into next week. So pretty active pattern here coming up, folks, and then additional systems on through the 10-day period. Now, taking a look at the temperatures, I want to show you what's going on. If we go on into Friday morning, check out some of these lows into the teens across the Willamette Valley, down into the lower 20s possible across some of the Puget Sound. Very cold eastern Washington and Oregon, all the way down through northern California, including British Columbia, of course, and the interior just locked in the icebox there, folks. Now, go into Saturday morning here, and you can see we do cool down again in Saturday morning, all the way down to the teens and the 20s across the area. Now, watch what happens as you go through Saturday. You might go, well, hey, it's in the mid-40s there, lower 40s. How can it snow if this next system arrives? And I'll show you why that will be the case here with this next slide. So taking a look at dew point temperature. Now, watch what happens. This is the defining characteristic of an Arctic air mass is the very dry, cold air. Look at these dew point readings down to the single digits across some of the Puget Sound, even down towards zero across southwest BC, eastern Washington, well below zero here on the dew points. So we move it now into Friday morning there, Saturday morning, and you can see by the time precipitation starts to arrive Saturday night, we are locked in the mid-20s here. So as this precipitation moves in, it's going to come down and it's going to evaporate as it drops through the atmospheric column towards the surface there, and that will rapidly drop the temperature and probably lead to some accumulating snowfall there. So that dry air from the Arctic air mass is why you will have some lower 40s, but it will quickly drop down to about freezing or even a little bit below for many areas here as that evaporative cooling really takes hold on the areas this next system moves in. Now, this is looking at Stampede Pass. You can see that you've got these strong winds out of the east coming up here, so watch out for that. If you're off in the backcountry, there's some gusts over 50 miles per hour through some of these mountain passes here coming up. This is Bellingham with their offshore winds going up there. Some gusts still around 40 miles per hour could be expected. Look at Orcas Island, pretty darn windy this morning. This is going to continue on in through the day today and probably on in through tomorrow as well with these strong offshore winds coming with that low just off the coastline there. So yeah, we got some interesting weather coming up here, folks. That snow could last for a few more hours here across the Puget Sound. The Willamette Valley is going to be much longer as this low pressure system is going to hang out here off the coastline, continue to bring some snowfall back across the area. Strong deformation band is probably going to form somewhere across the Willamette Valley, bringing some locally heavy amounts of snowfall there as well. And then we're going to lock this cold air in place. We're going to bring this next system in, and we are going to bring widespread snowfall probably across the Pacific Northwest. We will watch this system as we go. This is probably coming in on the day Saturday. Things like this system, I want to say it's probably going to trend a little faster than what the models are showing. So I assume that some of this moisture will make its way in by the time we're on in through Saturday afternoon across the region here, and it could be fairly disruptive. So we'll watch it very closely as we go, and we look to remain active through the extended. Check out that nice visualization. The Arctic air arrives just as the models say, doing very well with this system really overall, kind of highlighting the fact that we didn't get a huge snowstorm here on the Puget Sound, but it doesn't take much. As you guys see this morning, all it takes is a half inch and temperatures below freezing, and things can really get crazy out there. And some places are getting a couple inches of snow. So anyway, we'll watch the system come in. I'll do my normal briefing tomorrow. Maybe I'll do a live stream later on today, depending on how things go across some of the Willamette Valley down there. I'll probably do another video here again this morning on the California storm. Some really unique weather coming down there. So anyway, hope you guys are enjoying the snowfall out there. Take some pictures, send them to me on Twitter, and we'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.